Hey, folks, what's up? Welcome to Moment of Clarity live stream. Thanks for being here. Please take a second to say hello in the chat and hit the subscribe button, all that good stuff. So, I got a bunch of stories for you, as always. But let's start off with the fact that the United States is one of the most depressed countries in the world. I'm not talking economically. I'm talking looking out wistfully out a window and going, "Oh, it all fucking sucks." Talking that kind of depressed. And anyway, this is from a new chart from Danny Haifong, excellent journalist. He didn't create the chart, but he tweeted it out. And this is global antidepressant users per 100,000. And the chart is kind of up. I think that it's burying the lead on purpose, but the chart's kind of upside down because the top country is at the bottom. United States, 110 antidepressant users per 1,000 people. That's 1 out of every 10 people. If I'm doing my maths right, not so good at the maths, but I'm pretty sure that's 1 out of every 10 people. And then if you look at the countries that follow the United States on that list, most of them, so you got Australia and Canada, which are the two countries that are kind of most like the United States, right? Australia, rather similar. People there are all big numbskulls like we are, big fucking idiots with guns shooting at animals, putting their heads up on walls, those kind of people. Of course, I'm kidding around. I am one of those big numbskulls too. But Australia, Canada is like America light. It's like America if America said sorry more. That's it. And so you've got basically the two America light countries, and then you've got essentially countries that are in complete darkness for like 6 months of the year. It's like Iceland is number 2 with 106 per 1,000 people. And then you got Denmark, Sweden, not Portugal. They're not in darkness. You got the UK, which is, I lived in the UK for like 10 weeks. There's times of years where you're like, I think I saw a sunbeam. There was a sunbeam through the clouds. I saw it. I'm going to call my mom. I got to tell her I saw this. Then you got some more Scandinavian countries. But so most of half this list, like most of the top half of this list is either America light countries or countries that live in the dark half the year, which, look, there's amazing aspects of these countries. Iceland, for one, has some amazing shit going there. They're like the country that most seems to give a shit about their citizens, maybe of any country. They'll like I covered it recently. Most of the industries in Iceland, because they did a study and they found out that if people work 4 days a week, they instead of 5, that they do almost the same productivity or more or equivalent productivity, and they're much happier because they're working 4 days, right? Who wouldn't be happier? And so now like 80% of industries in Iceland are moving towards that or have already done that 4 days a week. So here we are slaving our asses off. Iceland's like, yeah, why don't we just cut a fucking day off the work week? And they do that shit because they're like, let's give people the happiest lives. In America, there's no. When was the last time you saw fucking anyone, president, politician, be like, yeah, I want everybody in America to live the happiest life? No, they don't give a shit. They don't. They'll give the bullshit about freedom, maybe, but anyway, so you got America light countries and then countries that live in the dark. So so then you got to ask yourself, why is America shooting through this chart way up at the top? And there's a few things to know about this. First of all, this is about antidepressant usage. So this is not just most depressed, right? There could be other countries that are very depressed, such as, the countries that we've helped destroy, like Syria. We're both with war and with economic sanctions. So I imagine people in Syria are very depressed. They're not taking antidepressants because I imagine the pharmacies there are not, maybe up to highest par. It might not be the most, like the cleanest CVS, Walgreens shit going on in Syria right now because we've crushed them. We've made it hard to get medication because that always does. That always achieves our aims, right? When we stop countries from getting medication, like Venezuela. Every time a baby doesn't get the medication they need, I think to myself, we're winning. Go America! All right, man. It always excites me whenever like a baby or a toddler can't get the medication they need. It makes me feel good, and I know that America's winning. But so there's plenty of countries that are probably more unhappy. There's more unhappiness. I don't know about plenty, but at least there's some. And but this chart is about antidepressant usage. So you've got to have access to antidepressants. You also have to another aspect that is not, that other people might not realize is that the United States and I believe New Zealand, unless this has changed over years, I know this is what it was a few years ago. United States and New Zealand are the only countries that allow direct to consumer television and radio ads pushing pills, saying tell your doctor to fucking give you these pills. Which when even as a kid, even before I started digging into this shit and realizing how our world works, even before that, I would hear these commercials where they're like, ask your doctor about Ripanol. It will cause, could cause diarrhea of the face holes. It could cause you to have a male period. It could cause women to grow a dick on their foreheads. And it would have all these warnings, and it would be like, tell your doctor you want Ripanol. And I was always like, why? Just shouldn't doctors know about medication? Why are they telling us? It's my job now to go into a doctor and be like, here's what you should give me. But then I realized as I got older, I'm like, oh, A, you have a lot of shitty doctors out there. B, there's so many new meds that are fucking pushed out by big pharma, just a conveyor belt. A lot of doctors literally don't know about some of these meds. And 3, I think I did A, B, and 3. That's always someone you want to listen to when they're like A, 2, F, and finally. But anyway, A, B, and 3. So thirdly, A, 2, and thirdly, the doctors give in to what their doctors, like a lot of doctors give in to what their patients want. If their patient comes in and they're like, I have a pain right here in the side of my head and then my shoulder, and I think what I need is Viagra. And they're like, I don't think, the doctor will be like, I don't know if that's really going to happen. I want some Viagra. They're like, okay, fine. If you really think having a hard-on is going to make your shoulder feel better, fine, here, okay, take it. So that actually works. So the advertising telling people to harass their doctors to get a certain medication actually works. And anyway, long story short, us in New Zealand are the only people where we tell people to go and pressure their doctors into giving them weird shit to try and solve every problem in life. But of course, a lot of our problems and antidepressants, there's a lot of people that really need antidepressants, but we can also discuss why do we live in a world now where so many people need antidepressants? And in America, there's a lot of reasons for that, even though we're not in the dark 6 months a year. There's a lot of reasons for that. It's part of it is telling people that it's, they're going to live an easy life and it's going to be, you can do whatever you want in the United States. All you got to do is work hard, and racism isn't a thing. And, sexism and wage gap isn't what are you talking about? That's not a problem. You just got to go in there and work a little harder. You so-and-so. So telling people that, and then they get out in the real world and they're like, this is not working out the way I thought when I was, in high school or whatever, seeing the big fucking jets flying over the stadiums and the big American flags waving. I thought it was going to be a road paved in gold. So there's a lot of disappointment and darkness. There's a lot of moral and soul darkness. That's what we live in 6 months out of the year is darkness of the soul. But then there's also just like there's a lack of community in the United States that is farther. It's gone farther than or further technically. It's gone further than the lack of community in some other countries. Now, this varies greatly from country to country or even city to city. But in some areas, there's a lot of community. People turn to their neighbors for all kinds of things. And then in some areas, some cultures, there's very little community. But one thing that definitely pushes the isolation, I'm adding syllables to things, the isolation and the atomization of people is capitalism. Sorry, I said it. Had to say it. And by the way, if you're watching any other talking heads on these topics and they won't say the word capitalism, then they're fucking they're skimming the surface. That doesn't even mean that some of these people don't say things I agree with. I may agree with 90% of what they say, but then I'm like, have you not heard the word capitalism, or is it too many syllables? Because a lot of what we're discussing comes back to capitalism. So if you're watching other, I don't know what to call us. The talking heads is not flattering. I'm not doing myself any favors by saying, hey, me and my fellow talking faces. But that being said, if you're watching other ones and they never mention the word capitalism, or it's like once every 15 episodes, you hear them go capital, and then it cuts off and an ad starts, then you're missing most of it. I know some people try and say, oh, well, it's capitalism is great. The problem is crony capitalism. It's got a crony on the side there. No, that's capitalism. It's all the same. It's because crony capitalism is where capitalism goes. Unregulated is where capitalism goes. That's the gravity of capitalism. Capitalism will always end up in those places. And you see it. America, maybe the United States, may be the most advanced in the unregulation movement of capitalism, but they're all getting there. All these countries are getting there. They're all moving in that direction, right? Britain is starting to privatize all their shit, including healthcare. There's a push to privatize their healthcare because they look over at the United States healthcare and they go, it seems to be working great over there. Have you noticed that? It seems to be working just gangbusters over in the United States. Everybody loves their healthcare system over there. So anyway, just to show you this chart one last time. Here we are, pumping ourselves full of antidepressants. And again, I'm not saying that everyone out there needs to throw their pills away. That some people need antidepressants. I've met people where antidepressants change their lives. So I'm not an anti like pharmaceuticals ever do anything to ever help someone. But probably a lot of people are taking them because shit in their life is fucked up. And a lot of people's lives are fucked up because we put profit over all else. We put the gutting of our societies over all else in order to make money for a tiny number of individuals. The ruling class gets richer and richer and richer until we have what how many billionaires in the United States? And yet people are getting more and more unhappy. How can this be that would be the land of dreams coming true? How can this be the land of freedom and success and where anything can happen and all this shit? It's like, yeah, but why are we the most oppressed if that's the case? It's a sad statement. All right, I want to move on to the next story where to look at what the Biden administration is saying about this wonderful situation we have going here in the United States of America, our sweet, sweet country that is just doing wonderfully. I've moved into my my soothing voice to tell you that everything is going wonderful here in the United States and everybody's happy and all is well. And so I'm going to play a clip from Biden's economic advisor, Brian Deese, and then go through what he says is happening with our society right now and how wonderful everything is going. Because for those of you who live in the United States, I'm sure you can agree, right? When you're ducking and covering to go to a mall to try and buy a fountain soda that you're hoping will perk you up enough that you'll enjoy the next 12 minutes of your day, because there's so much sugar shoved into it that your brain short circuits. When you're putting on your metal plating in order to survive the likely mass shooting as you run into that mall, I bet you think, you know what? Biden, Trump, and Obama have just made this a wonderful place to live. I bet that's what you're thinking. All right, so here is Biden's White House economic advisor, Brian Deese. Oh God, how many D's nuts jokes do you think that guy does all day? Honestly, it must be half of everything he says. Just like, hey, Brian, can you get me those papers? Yeah, D's nuts can. No, literally, I'm going to do it with my nuts. I'm actually clicking send on the keyboard with D's nuts. Anyway, so here he is answering the question of how wonderfully everything's going in the United States of America, in Biden's America.
Well, I think if you look at where we are, remember it was just about 2 weeks ago that we got the jobs report for June. And you saw that in the second quarter of this year, we had a historic job growth, close to.
Okay, already. Historic job growth. The reason there's any job growth is largely because we had a pandemic. There were lockdowns, and even in places where there weren't lockdowns, it was still a mass exodus from all the unfettered materialism and consumerism and everything. So even in places where people were not locked down, there was still people not doing all of that shit that so-called, powers the economy. So then now people are getting back into those things, right? Companies are hiring again. The people are back out on the streets, going store to store a little bit and all that shit. So that's why you're seeing job growth, not because Biden's done a tremendous job. I mean, other than killing 1 million Americans with COVID and him and Trump. But yeah, they're giving themselves credit for that. Anyway.
Historic job growth, close to 400,000 jobs a month created in this economy in the second quarter. That's good news, and it reflects the fact that we have a historic labor market right now, and we also have
a historic labor market. Yeah, how fucking unhappy are our laborers right now? You've seen more efforts to start unions across America over the past, 5 years, 2 years maybe, than you've seen in like decades before. Why do people want to start unions? And they should, by the way. Why do people want to start unions? Because they're fucking exploited. Because they're miserable. Because their jobs suck. And they're being treated like shit. So this guy he should come on there and be like, oh, there's a lot of workers out there right now being treated like shit. And, that shows things are going well here in the United States when people are really just heavily exploited and beaten down. And that's they're all it's a historic enjoyment of misery. Also, we've started passing out free antidepressants at the many workplaces. We're just handing those out. We have a big bowl of them, kind of like, free condoms or something, and people can just grab a fistful whenever they like. And it's creates for a pretty pleasant work environment, I'd say. Also, we've brought back sexual harassment. We've decided to allow that going forward. So everybody seems to be excited about that, except for the 50% that are very not excited about that.
Household balance sheets that continue to be strong, record low numbers of mortgage delinquencies, record low numbers of credit card delinquencies. So these are not the marks of an economy in recession.
Okay, the record low delinquencies. Now, look, I don't know everything about all these numbers, but first of all, I can tell you that these assholes, and it's the same for every administration, these assholes find the one fucking number that doesn't look bad to them. He happens to have chosen credit card delinquencies. Not credit card debt. He didn't say record low credit card debt. He said record low delinquencies. because they have to find that one number. They're like, listen, our economy's doing great because we have a record high number of Hispanic women working at poultry plants. And that is not okay. That's a lot of people with jobs right there. They always find that one number that looks kind of good to their situation or their argument. You know, everything's collapsing. It's the fucking people are miserable. People are scraping by. You've got more people facing eviction in the United States than, maybe since the Great Depression or some shit. But, and probably, anyway, probably more now because there was less of a rental society back then. But, and so it's fucking awful. Everything's fucking awful, you asshole. But instead, they're like, oh, it's, if you look at credit card delinquency, if you look at the amount of money that your average American currently has invested in the trees they put into their backyard, that actually is higher than ever before. Number of trees planted. And let's face it, a country can't be in recession if someone's planted a tree. Then we find some fucking number that sounds good to them. The percentage of dogs eating the actual higher class of dog food, they're not buying the lowest level, least expensive dog food. So we have a record number of dogs eating that slightly more expensive dog food, which we can all agree a country can't be in recession if dogs are eating that well. Fuck you. And also, again, I don't know why there's fewer credit card delinquencies right now, but I have some ideas. It could be that during the first 2 years of the pandemic, it so destroyed people that a lot of people lost their credit cards. The delinquencies all hit over those 2 years. And they couldn't pay, and now they don't have a credit card, or they, somehow were able to pay it off, and now they don't even have that credit card anymore. Anyway, that's one example of what it could be, something like that people got so screwed over the first 2 years of the pandemic that they're not delinquent. There's not as many delinquencies now because they were already fucked earlier. There's a lot of reasons that this number could be bullshit. Yeah, and someone in the comment section brought up, he's not saying record low bankruptcy filings. Like, what was it? 1 out of every 3 mom and pop shops, like non-corporate shops and stores and restaurants, went out of business during this pandemic. And some of that's under Trump, some of it's under Biden, but it doesn't mean things are going well. People aren't fucking waving banners and skipping down the street in their quinceañera dresses. No. But here he is, this piece of shit on TV telling everybody that things are looking great. Things are awesome.
Going forward, we need to focus on making these right choices so that we can make this transition. We can bring prices down without giving up all the economic gains that we've made. And what I can tell you is 2 things.
What fucking economic gains? What are you fucking talking about, you piece of shit? But furthermore, we need to make the right transition so we can bring prices down. What if you were to stop your proxy war in Ukraine that has completely boomeranged back into our face? The sanctions have hurt Americans more than fucking Russians, which, by the way, sanctions are war and hurting your average Russian person who may or may not be for the Russian invasion. It's fucking group punishment for something that the oligarchs, one group of oligarchs, didn't like what another group of oligarchs did. And instead, we're going to punish the entire country. 100,000 people have died in Venezuela from our economic war on them. Who knows how many have died in Iran and Syria due to our economic wars on them. It's fucking, I mean, he'd say we need to bring prices down, but we're not going to stop the insane NATO belligerence, militarism, fucking pushing us closer to World War III. We're not going to stop any of that, which is clearly hurting average Americans. They can't even find fucking baby formula anymore on the shelves. But we're gonna keep prices down by me getting on television acting like everything's fine. I mean, here's the thing: this guy's a White House economic advisor, but the White House would never pick an economic advisor that doesn't already agree with everything the White House already does, right? That is who they pick. So when you're an advisor, right, the perfect advisor would be someone who gives you outside opinions, other ideas as to how to fix things. Hey, maybe we should do this or that. But instead, these are yes men, right? These are people brought in to just go, hey, Joe Biden, even though you don't recognize me or know my name, and you're not quite sure that I'm not a lamp in the corner of the room talking to you, you are doing a great job on the economy. Can I just tell you that? I am blown away at how fucking brilliant your economic policy is. That's all they're brought in for. That's why he's there. He's not there to advise. He's there to high five. He's a White House economic high fiver. All right. He's there to circle jerk. White House economic circle jerker is what he is. So yeah, could you imagine if a White House advisor came in and was like, hey, maybe capitalism isn't the best system, because it's based on infinite growth on a planet of limited resources. So, by definition, it will ultimately result in our demise. So I was thinking maybe could we look into something else? How quickly do you think that guy would get booted on each ass cheek out the door by Secret Service? How quickly do you think he'd be shown into a room with armed military personnel who explained to him, listen, you cannot criticize the C word, all right? The C word is, you just don't even bring it up, okay? You cannot criticize it. We have spent the past, I don't even want to say how long, making sure that the C word takes over this whole planet. We even had to take out one of our own presidents, okay? Just to make sure capitalism would win, so to speak, just to make sure we'd end up with a system that is destroying the planet. We put a lot of work into this. I don't mean to say, I'm not saying anything, but we put a lot of work into this, and we don't want you kind of questioning our work. I mean, just planning the whole JFK thing alone it was a lot of stress on us and a lot of shit we had to do. I mean, and all those coups we fucking planned to take out every socialist country, all those assassinations. And when you come here and you criticize capitalism, it's kind of like you're not respecting our work, okay? It's kind of like you're not really respecting all the work we've done to get us to this position that the environment is collapsing. And so are we clear on that? Just don't bring up the C word anymore. And we'll keep you around for another, 20, 30 seconds. Pack your things, actually.
One, the United States is in a better position than any other country in the world right now to drive that transition.
The United States is in a better position than any other country in the world right now. Oh, God. I fucking... I love it. The United States is in a better position than any other country in the world right now. To do what? Yeah, we're leading. We're really leading the world. By the way, what is it? Most countries in the world are not endorsing our position on this proxy war that we've helped create in Ukraine. By the way, I'm opposed to the Russian invasion, but that doesn't mean I'm pro-proxy war. Doesn't mean I'm pro-Nazis in Ukraine. Doesn't mean I'm pro shipping missiles and bombs and shit over there that are then ending up in the hands of fucking all kinds of terrorists around the world. I'm not for any of that. But like most countries in this world are either taking a neutral position on the proxy war, or they're also many are taking, Russia's side, but most of them are taking a neutral position. Oh, where it's a proxy war between the U.S. and Russia, maybe we don't get involved. So that's why we had to coup, places like Pakistan. But it was a soft coup. No one got shot. So there you go. But anyway, the idea that we're leading our pawn in Ukraine, Zelensky, had a call with Africa in order to talk to African leaders about why they needed to endorse the U.S., NATO, Ukraine position. And 4 countries in Africa attended the call out of whatever 50 some or something. Most of this world knows that this is bullshit, and it shows the lack of power of the United States. Our power is dwindling heavily because of all the crazy shit we've done recently. Anyway, and this guy wants to say we're in a great position to lead the world. We're leading the world right now. Oh, are we really? Are we? Because you notice our sanctions against all these different countries aren't doing shit. They aren't doing shit. Russia's doing fine. Venezuela's doing fine. I mean, yeah, it kills a lot of people. I've mentioned that a lot. 100,000 people died from our economic sanctions in Venezuela, but that hasn't caused the government to collapse. Cuba, Iran. Anyway.
And make that transition effectively. You see our strength internationally. You see it in the strength of our currency. We are in a better place than almost any other country. And number 2, if we make these right policy choices, it will matter. It will make a difference. It will bring.
We are leading all the other countries in the world right now, aren't we? We're leading in antidepressants. We're leading in workplace sexual harassment. We're leading in mass shootings. We're leading in prison industrial complex, number of prisoners. We're leading. We're leading in let's see. Increase in maternal mortality and child mortality. We're one of the few developed countries going up in that. We're leading in bankruptcies of people due to healthcare costs. We're leading in healthcare costs. We're leading in a lot of awesome things here in the U.S. of A. It's great to see him talk about how much we're leading. Normally they try and cover that stuff up, but thank goodness he's bringing it forward. Oh my God, gotta love that guy. Gotta love Deese. Brian Deese, is that his name? So I mentioned the environmental destruction we're going through right now. Oh, by the way, in a few more minutes, this feed will only continue at rumble.com/Lee Camp. So go over there, rumble.com/Lee Camp. It's free to watch over there. And this live stream, if you're watching over there right now, nothing will change. It'll just keep going. But you can go over there and watch the rest of the stream. But in a few minutes, not quite yet, but in a few minutes, the other feeds will cut off. And either way, whether you head over to Rumble or not, I hope you will join my page at leecamp.net. You'll notice I have no corporate sponsors. Nobody's funding this except you guys. It's independent media. And honestly, it will not continue without you. So check out leecamp.net. But I mentioned the environmental destruction, and have no fear about our environmental destruction, but there's an answer that has been, I've seen the videos circulating, and it's going to fix our environment, specifically our beaches, which are all dirty now, right? Our beaches are all disgusting. And I love this video of this machine that's going to make everything happy and nice again. You ready? All right. Hold on a second. This thing. All right. First of all, it's made by Bobcat, which Bobcat is like a garbage company. Yes, they produce some construction material, but they also do horrific things like produce the fucking machines that slaughter Palestinians that Israel uses, them and Caterpillar. But also they're producing the machines that do a lot of the like deforestation and just gutting of our environment. And I get that there's a bit of an argument to be made that it is a tool. So you use a tool to do shitty stuff, then you got to blame the person using the tool. But still, this is not a company to be cheerleading for. And this idea that, now look, everybody likes that clean beach. I'm not saying we don't, and I'm not saying we shouldn't clean up our beaches. But the idea that this is the solution is just, well, we take this machine and we drive it over the beaches and it picks up the cigarette butts and then all is well, all is fine. No, it's still fucked. We're still fucking the environment. It's not, all is not fine. You assholes. This is both greenwashing and acting like this will solve the problem. But it's also greenwashing this company that is incredibly dirty, polluting company that responsible for deforestation, etc. And they're like, hey, no, we're one of the good guys because we made a fucking tractor that picks up cans off the beaches. Ah, look at that. I mean, it's like the idea that we're fixing the globe by sending these stupid little tractors around. It's just, I mean, honestly, I'd be fine with it if they were just upfront. If the ad was like, hey, you're looking to get rid of the fucking cans and cigarettes and shit off the beach, then this will do that. The beaches will still be fucked. You still have pollution. You still have, creatures dying. You still have birds eating cigarette butts and shit. But it'll look a little better. The beach will look a little nicer. Also, you'd have to have 9 billion of these machines on every beach around the world, in which case you're causing more environmental damage than you're actually helping solve. Like the idea that this is the answer. This will do it. This will save us. The fucking Bobcat beach cleaner. And also, how about asking where the fuck all this shit came from to begin with? Why do we have loads of garbage on our beaches? Isn't that a sign that things might not be perfect, that all might not be right in our world when the beaches are covered with tampon applicators and used condoms? Isn't that I feel like if you were like an archaeologist and you dug down and you found a layer that's just tampon applicators and used condoms, you'd be like, this society, see right down at this layer, the society does not seem to be the best because there's a bunch of fossilized used condoms that are just rock hard old condoms right around this layer. About 2,000 years ago, something happened where they just covered the beaches in beer cans and remnants of fireworks and just like the packaging for something called a Big Mac. And at times packaging for something called a double Big Mac. We're not sure what that is, but if you look right here, 2,000 years ago in the fossil record, you'll find it. That's not a society I don't think to be proud of. I mean, this is exactly like and who knows how many I don't actually know the answer to this, but who knows how many creatures this would kill while it's sifting through the sand, just scooping up seagulls and penguins and maybe not penguins, but just scooping up all the little sand crabs and the little sand mites and little what are they called? Horseshoe crabs. All that stuff's just getting filtered through and put in a compactor that crushes them into a pulp with some tin cans and some cigarette butts. I don't know that we should be celebrating that either. But this reminds me exactly of the so-called cleanups after oil spills, right? After oil spills, they go, oh, we're going to clean it up, right? Exxon or BP or one of these clowns goes running down there to say, we're going to clean this stuff up right now. And it's no problem. Well, yeah, they don't, because they can't. It's impossible. It's impossible to clean up oil spills. You can decrease a percentage of the oil that gets out into the water if you act quickly, but you can't clean it up. It's just, everything's just fucked. And I want to show you this. This is, for those of you who didn't know this, sometimes Exxon and BP and Shell and all these garbage companies that are destroying the planet, they'll use literal paper towels. This is not some dude walking down to the beach. This is what Exxon and Shell and BP will sometimes send like guys down there with industrial paper towels to literally put them down on the oil spill. That's the dumbest shit I've ever seen. Like nothing screams like cleanup theater more than this, than putting some paper towels down, on the sand. If you do a little wax on, wax off motion with your paper towel, like Karate Kid. You remember Karate Kid? And you remember, and you wax on, wax off with your paper towel, and that oil that'll be up real quick. You just do that for like just 10 to 15 years, and that oil will be gone. It'll be cleaned right out of there, and all the animals will be happy again. And you can do just like that commercial for Dawn soap where they clean off the fucking bird. No. The paper towels don't do anything. The dudes down there in hazmat suits just usually end up getting cancer because they're not wearing suits that protect them enough, and they're usually not real Exxon employees. They're like, immigrants that actually Exxon decided to pay like $2 an hour or whatever the fuck to go down there and act like they're cleaning it up. And I didn't say that to be negative towards immigrants, but I'm saying that they're looking for people that don't have an easy time finding better jobs, and they send them down there to get cancer and shit like that. And you're scrubbing the penguins with the Dawn soap doesn't do it either, because you'd have to catch every penguin, every bird, every seagull, everyone. You'd have to catch everyone and scrub them down with your little sponges. There's no. I granted you do have an easier way to catch them by sticking them in oil. I suppose that does slow them down, but I don't think you're gonna clean that many birds up. So yeah, we've got what's called cleanup theater, and this Bobcat device is just another example of cleanup theater where they act like we don't actually have to change our system. We don't actually have to change the way we're behaving. We just need to buy this new thing, sometimes massive equipment, that is going to cover up literally the surface layer. In this case, literally the surface layer of our destruction of this planet. We're just gonna graze off the top. This is, you know what this reminds me? This is like if you get like gum in your hair and someone just shaves off that little piece. We're just gonna shave off the top of the sand on the beach, and then it's gonna be fine. It's going to be fine. We're just going to kill all of the eggs of the sea turtles that are laid in this area, and we'll clean up those along with the cigarette butts. This machine, it'd be like having a machine that just wipes the soot of a polluted area. Downtown LA just wipes the soot off the buildings. It doesn't stop everybody from breathing the shit. It doesn't actually clean the place. It just makes it look a little shinier. We're going to make the earth look a little shinier as we kill ourselves. It's, it's like a device. It's just covering over the problem. It's like if they sold us all a big device that just fired. It took you walk into society and every asshole, all the assholes in our society. Which what are we saying? That's like 45% of everybody in the United States. Well, you walk up to every asshole, not you guys, everybody else. Walk up to every asshole and you just shoot a paper mache gun at them that just covers their face over so they can't speak. And it's just got a smiley face there. And they're just like, ah. And just, so you can just paper mache, they're paper mache over their heads. And then you don't have to deal with the assholes in society. But that doesn't stop them from being out there and behaving like assholes. It just makes it easier to walk by them. Honestly, this is, and Bobcat's a horrible company. So this is like a Northrop Grumman or one of the weapons contractors making creating a machine that high fives people on the street. It's like a little, robot, a little C3PO or no, R2D2, little robot that walks down the street and just boop, high five, boop. It makes people a little happier. Meanwhile, Northrop Grumman's selling goddamn Javelin missiles to sociopaths around the world, Nazis and shit. But they made the high five machine, so it's fine. They're helping us. They're doing some good out there. All right, folks. For the rest of this live stream, we'll continue at rumble.com/Lee Camp. Go over there and watch for free. Rumble.com/Lee Camp. Should I say it again? Why not? Rumble.com/Lee Camp. And please click subscribe. And also you can become a member at leecamp.net. Even if you aren't going to become a paying member at leecamp.net, I would love for you to go over there and check it out and at least take a look at it.